Hello and welcome back to the Sports Sermon. I'm Dylan Staggy.
I'm Jason Gandhi.
I'm Dan Majors. And I'm John Majors.
And we are back today to talk about more fantasy football. Today, as you can tell by the title, we are talking about the wide receivers this year. So we have a few questions, a safe pick, risky pick, steals and reaches, and then we'll go into our top 10 wide receivers this year. If you want to see all of our top 30s, make sure to click the link in the description to see our top 30 rankings. We're only going to go into our top 10 for this episode, though. So, first question, will Allen Robinson rebound? Last year, he had a very bad year after a big year in 2015 with Blake Bortles, only 800 yards last year. Will he get back to his 2015 form, Jason?
The Jaguars will have a more balanced attack with Fournette running the show, but if you guys, I think that what gets overlooked is Allen Robinson was still 6th in the NFL in targets last year, 10th in red zone targets, and 6th in red zone touchdowns. Like he didn't have a good year fantasy-wise, but he still got the targets. He just couldn't capitalize, and Bortles was playing bad. I think it's going to be a major, get yourself back on track year. I think he's going to get anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 yards and 8 to 10 touchdowns. I think 10's well within reach, though. And I think he's a wide receiver, too. High-end wide receiver, 2. I think he could be a low-end wide receiver, 1, honestly. I love Allen Robinson, and I think he'll really be special.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jason. I think we'll have a rebound year. Really, I think it depends on Bortles. I think if he's more consistent, then we'll see flashes of what Robinson did back in 2015. And I think Bortles will be more consistent.
Yeah, I think Allen Robinson will have a better season, but nothing special. I don't really trust Blake Bortles. Allen Robinson is the top target, and he has the potential to break out. But I fell for Allen Robinson last year. I drafted him in the 3rd round, and he was a huge disappointment for me. I really wish he could have gave me more production.
Yeah, I agree. So let's go into what is Brandon Cooks' value. Brandon Cooks, you don't really know what you're getting. He was supposed to have a breakout year the last 3.5 seasons, but then he has just been good but not great. Now he's on the New England Patriots. Dan, what do you think about Brandon Cooks' value?
I have him at 13. I think Tom B-Ratty's always been the best, or always made the best of what he has.
B-Ratty?
Yeah, Tom Brady. And now I think he has something, and I think that could be scary.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's good value based on where his ADP is. If you look at the guys ahead of him, Alshon Jeffrey's number 11, and DeAndre Hopkins is number 12 receiver, and Demaryius Thomas is the 14th receiver, are all on teams that have significant quarterback questions, and that's going to hurt you in terms of talent and experience. Just they're not going to be able to get the ball. And then at 15, you got Doug Baldwin, who is on a Seahawks offense that's very big on running the ball and is on a very run-first approach, and so that'll cap his value. Then Jarvis Landry at 16th, ranked 6th in short pass fantasy points last year, but placed 48th in vertical fantasy points. He just doesn't have that downfield upside that Cooks has. So I like Cooks at his value because of where his ADP is and how low he is right now. I think he is a high-end wide receiver, too.
Yeah, I also like Cooks as a high-end wide receiver, too. He's not the main target, though, and he doesn't really capitalize off the long, deep passes because he's a speedy guy as much with Tom Brady. They like to throw the ball short a lot. He's also not playing in the Superdome and has never played in an NFL game under 55 degrees. So I think that's a little bit of a concern.
Where did you find that stat?
It was on ESPN.
I thought you went through all the games. It was 67 degrees start time. Oh my!
Someone on ESPN.
No, but playing in Foxborough though, that might be
I
a
know.
little
It's
concern.
crazy to find that stat.
Yeah.
55 degrees.
I agree with you 100%, but that's crazy. Someone went all that way to get that stat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like Brandon Cooks. I have him as my 16th best wide receiver. I have confidence in Tom Brady in the offense, but he could have some touches taken away with so many threats in New England with Julian Edelman, Gronk, and Hogan. But I think he'll have a good season.
All right, now let's move into our safest pick at wide receiver. Jason, who's yours?
I think it's pretty obvious. He's the safest pick in all of fantasy football. It's Antonio Brown. You know what you're getting. 10, 11 receptions at most, no less than 7, and he's going to be a solid player every week, and obviously he's the safest pick. I don't think there's really a debate here.
Yep, Antonio Brown, 3rd straight season as top 3 fantasy wide receiver. Missed only 1 game throughout those 3 years.
Yeah, I'd agree. Also, you can't go wrong with Julio Jones. I've drafted him for like the past 5 years, and he's given me great production. He could be a safe pick too.
Yeah.
But yeah, Antonio Brown. He has punt returns as well, so he's going to get you more points there.
Yeah, I just think it's pretty obvious. Like, there's no one else. Like, it's safest, it's Brown. They're other safe players, though.
Yeah, I also, obviously, I think it's Antonio Brown, but a guy that I think is also safe that we might not be talking about a lot is T.Y. Hilton. He's only 27, no injury history, only missed one game over the past 3 years. He's the number one target in a pass-heavy offense, and he led the league in receiving yards last year. I really like T.Y. Hilton this year.
Didn't he have a back injury last year? It was like right around the Steelers game.
I don't think it kept him out of anything.
No, I don't think it held him out, but I thought he gotten banged up and stuff. But either way, yeah, I mean, he's a safe player. Riskiest pick, though, I went with Sammy Watkins. I've never been a fan of Sammy Watkins. He's got drafted too early, in my opinion, got thrown to the Wolves too quickly in Buffalo. The way I look at it is they've got no quarterback in history. He's got injury history, and the offensive system is very run first. I don't like Sammy Watkins this year.
I don't like DeAndre Hopkins very much. Was maybe the biggest disappointment in fantasy last year. There's no quarterback. There's no way I'd take him as a top 15 wide receiver.
Yeah, I also have Sammy Watkins here. He was supposed to be a stud coming out of college from Clemson, but he hasn't really lived up to the hype.
I think there's a lot of risky wide receivers, especially in that second tier. I don't love Michael Thomas. I don't love Sammy Watkins, but one guy that I think is pretty risky is Dez. He relies on touchdowns a lot, and the Cowboys rely on the run game a lot. Dak also doesn't throw it deep a lot, which Dez Bryant is really good at catching those, and he's only played 22 games in the past 2 years and only has 81 receptions in those 22 games. I'm not high on Dez this year.
I disagree with that. I think that Dez and Dak are going to be balling this year. I think Dak's going to have a good season, not fantasy-wise, but like NFL-wise. I think Dez, Dak, and Zeke are going to ball out.
Yeah, I think they're going to try and stop the run a little bit more with Zeke. He's getting more respect. I think they'll throw it out wide more.
Exactly. Zeke was a rookie, so people made him beat them in those first 2 games. Now you've got Dez, who, if you load the box of Zeke, well, good night. Dez going to kill you, and if you double team Dez, I think Cowboys are going to be good. I like Dez this year. I think he's a top 10 guy.
I don't know. I see that, but I just, with the injury concern too.
Do you think he's top 10?
Yeah, I have him as low-end top 10, number 9, but not anything too special.
All right.
All right, now let's move into our top 3 steals at wide receiver. Jason, who's your first steal?
I'm going to go John Ross. The number 2 receivers in Cincy have shown to give you good value. If you guys remember, Marvin Jones and Mohamed Sanu, those last 2 or 3 years, both were phenomenal fantasy and good players. I like John Ross, explosive offense. Andy Dalton loves to throw it deep no matter how many picks he'll throw. I like it.
I like Willie Snead. Everyone's talking about how Michael Thomas is going to be good now that Cooks is gone, but I think Snead will also benefit from him being gone.
Yeah, I like Kelvin Benjamin here. I don't know why he was rated so low. He's the number 1 target in Carolina, and he's rated 33rd by ESPN. I just don't understand that. I think he'll have a good season.
Mine is going to be take your pick of Eric Decker or Corey Davis, one of the Titans' 2 new receivers. Right now, they're 41st and 42nd wide receivers picked in the ESPN ADP. Decker is a touchdown machine, and there's a reason why the Titans picked Corey Davis at 5, and it wasn't to not throw to him, and also a strong running game will help.
Yeah, my second one is Allen Robinson at wide receiver 23. Like I said, I think he's a low-end wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2. I love Allen Robinson.
I like Deshaun Jackson. I think he'll be a big deep threat now that they can't double him with Evans out there.
Yeah, my second steal's Dez Bryant. I just think he'll have a really good year. Dez Bryant and him have another year under their belt. They're going to have to load the box with Zeke there, give him some respect. I think they'll throw it out wide a lot to Dez, and he will have a great season.
My second steal is going to be Jamison Crowder. He's going to be the top 1 or 2 target in a pass-heavy offense. Kirk Cousins loves to throw the ball a lot, and he is really speedy. I like Jamison Crowder this year.
That's funny. Mine's Terrell Pryor. I like the same reason.
Both of them.
Yeah, I think Pryor's going to ball this year because Cousins loves to air the ball out.
I like Kelvin Benjamin, like John said. I think he is the definition of a steal this year. Everyone is down on him from last year, but I still like him as he finished 20th among fantasy running backs last year, or fantasy wide receivers last year.
I have Corey Davis from Tennessee as my best steal. I agree with Dylan, everything he said. They didn't draft him that high just for him not to get the ball. I think Mariota and him will have a good season moving forward.
My last steal is going to be Corey Coleman. The Browns have to throw it to someone, and he showed a lot of potential in limited time last year. He'll be a late-round pick in your fantasy draft, and if you can snag him, I think you're getting a really good deal. But now let's move into our top 3 reaches, guys to stay away from in this fantasy football year. Jason, who is your first reach?
Mine's Michael Thomas, just because he's unproven. I think he's too young. He's only had one good year, and Breeze doesn't have anybody besides him. Like, now he's going to get the Brandon Cooks treatment. He's no longer a sleeper that's going to get the weak cornerback. Now he's the guy, and I think he's going to really struggle.
I like Julian Edelman. Or I don't like Julian Edelman, sorry. I think with Cooks there, I think his production will go down.
Yeah, my third reach is Michael Crabtree. Way too high on ESPN on 21. He might have a good year, but he's a wide receiver 2 at number 21. I just don't think that value for him is right.
Mine's going to be Michael Thomas. He's only played for 1 year. I don't think Drew Brees will be as good as last year. And like Jason mentioned, there's no other targets now on this Saints offense, so the defense will really load up on him. They're also going to run the ball a little bit more with AP.
Where'd you have Drew Brees rated for your
Third,
quarterback?
but I don't think he'll
You'll
be
think it'll
as
decline a little
good.
bit?
Yeah. I mean, he's 38 now. I don't see him being as good as last year.
Yeah,
Not bad, though.
He lost his top option. Cooks.
Yeah.
I got you.
My second one, Sammy Watkins at wide receiver 17 with Edelman, Pryor, and Robinson still available. I'm not taking Sammy Watkins. I'm letting someone else take that flyer.
I have Tyreek Hill. Most of his touchdowns came from 60 yards or longer, making him a boomer bust player every week, so I'm not going to take him.
My number 2 is Dante Moncrief. Again, it was wide receiver 2. There's other guys out there at wide receiver 1 that you can take that'll get more production, I think.
I have Julian Edelman. I've never been a big fan of Edelman. He has Gronk and Cooks. He doesn't get in the end zone, and now he's on the wrong side of 30, 31 years old, and I'm not big on Julian Edelman this year.
My last one's Demaryius Thomas at wide receiver 14. I just think with no QB and really just a lack of experience and talent at the QB spot, it's going to hurt Demaryius Thomas.
Yep, also have Demaryius Thomas here. I think if he did have a quarterback, he could be a potential top 5 wide receiver.
Demaryius Thomas, the last 3 years, has declined his receiving yards by 300 yards each year. His touchdowns have also been cut in half. He's really struggling these past few years.
Yeah, I don't trust Trevor Siemian at all.
I think it'll be Lynch. That's in my opinion. I think Lynch is going to be the guy.
Yeah,
Do you?
Possibly. Yeah. I have Martavis Bryant as my reach. Again, wide receiver 2, he sat out all last year with suspension. I just think a year out of football, I don't think he'll have a great year. Ben Roethlisberger will play well. Antonio Bryant will take a bunch of touches away from him.
Mine is going to be Dez. Like I mentioned in my risky pick, I also had Dez. The Cowboys rely on the run game a lot. Dak doesn't throw it deep a lot. In only 22 games in the past 2 years, I think Dez is at the bottom of the tier 2 wide receivers. Let's move into our top 10 wide receivers now. Let's start at number 10. Jason, who do you have?
I've got Doug Baldwin. I think he's going to have a good year this year, and I just have had him on my fantasy team, and I love what he's doing.
I also have Doug Baldwin, number 10. Was top 10 wide receiver for his second year last year, and Russell Wilson wasn't even totally healthy.
I have Alshon Jeffrey at number 10. New situation for him in Philadelphia. I think the offense will suit him well.
I have Amari Cooper at 10. I think he'll take another step this year and be a solid wide receiver 1 for the Raiders.
My number 9, I got, like you said, Amari Cooper. I love what he's doing. I love my Raiders. I think he's going to have an explosive year.
I have Michael Thomas. I'm buying the Michael Thomas hype. Had over 1,100 yards and 9 touchdowns last year, and now he's the top receiver. I think he could be dangerous.
Like Dylan and Jason, I have Amari Cooper at number 9. I just think he'll make the step this year and be an elite wide receiver.
I have Dez Bryant at number 9. I don't have him in my top 8. I think he's at the bottom of those tier 2 wide receivers and has a down year.
Yeah, I've got Dez at my number 8. I like what Dez does, though. I think he's going to have a good year. I think Dak and Dez are going to really start getting that connection.
I have Amari Cooper at 8, had over 1,000 yards in his first 2 seasons. If he increases his touchdowns, I think he will definitely be top 10.
I have T.Y. Hilton at number 8, but if his production wants to go up, Andrew Luck has to play the entire year.
Mm-hmm.
I have Alshon Jeffrey at my number 8. I am buying Alshon Jeffrey this year. The number 1 target in the Eagles offense. Carson Wentz takes the next step, and the Eagles are a solid team this year. I like Alshon Jeffrey.
I've got T.Y. at number 7. I like what John said, though. It's all dependent on how well Luck plays and how long he plays.
I got Des Bryant at 7. Team runs a lot, but he still puts up a lot of touchdowns.
Yep, I also have Des Bryant number 7. We've talked about him a lot.
I have Jordy Nelson at my number 7. There is some concerns about him, though. He is 32 now and does have an injury history, but he does put up a lot of touchdowns in that Packers offense.
Yeah, I've got Jordy Nelson at my number 6. You just kind of highlighted everything. I love the Packers offense this year. Martellus Bennett, Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, Devontae Adams, and Ty Montgomery. Explosive.
I got A.J. Green at 6. He was hurt for 6 games last year, but in his 10 games, he was a top 6 fantasy wide receiver.
I have Jordy Nelson at 6. I just think Aaron Rodgers will have a great year throwing all around the field, and Jordy Nelson will be his number 1 target.
I have T.Y. Hilton at my number 6 receiver. Led the league in receiving yards last year, and I think him and Andrew Luck have a nice connection. If Luck stays healthy, T.Y. Hilton will be great.
Oh, my number 5, I have Mike Evans. This is like my tier 1 or my tier 2 group of Mike Evans and then A.J. Green at 4. I just think Mike Evans at 5 is going to be a stud for the Buccaneers. I love the Buccaneers this year.
I got Jordy Nelson at 5. In his last 3 healthy seasons, he has balled, averaging over 1,300 yards and 12 touchdowns in those 3 years.
I have Mike Evans at number 5. Like Jason said, I think Jameis Winston will play well, and Mike Evans will get the ball a lot.
Yep, Mike Evans also at number 5. He'll be great this year with other additions like Deshaun Jackson and O.J. Howard on the offense. That'll open up Mike Evans some more. He'll have a nice season for the Bucs.
Yeah, my number 4 is A.J. Green. I like what they're doing in Cincinnati, and he always seems to just play well, assuming he's healthy.
I like Mike Evans at 4. You guys already really talked about him.
I have A.J. Green at number 4. I think Andy Dalton will play well. Get A.J. Green the ball, and again, he's just going to have another solid season.
Yep, A.J. Green at 4. If he stays out of trouble with injuries, he'll be a great receiver again. Andy Dalton and him have a nice connection.
Yeah, my number 3 is OBJ. I think the Giants offense is going to be fun to watch with Brandon Marshall, Sterling Shepard, and Paul Perkins.
I have Odell at 3 also. He hasn't been a top 3 fantasy wide receiver yet in his career. That is why I have Julio in front of him. He is still a great pick, but I would not put him over Brown or Julio.
I agree. Odell Beckham at number 3, and I think it'll help him out a lot with Brandon Marshall and Sterling Shepard both out there. It'll still give him touches, but more threats, so he isn't double-teamed.
I have Julio Jones at 3. I think there's other weapons in the Falcons' offense that need to be fed. He's not a huge touchdown guy. 6, 8, and 6 in the last 3 seasons. I like OBJ a little bit more than him.
My number 2 is Julio Jones. Dylan, you've talked about him. I really like what he's doing. I love the Falcons, and he's an explosive guy. He's pretty consistent.
I like Julio also. Doesn't score as many touchdowns as other guys, but had over 1,400 yards receiving last year.
Yep, I also have Julio Jones at number 2.
I have OBJ at number 2. A little bit more consistent, no injury concerns, and 10-plus touchdowns over the last 3 years, too. I like OBJ.
My number 1, I think it's everyone's number 1, Antonio Brown. Most consistent, safest, and just the best receiver in football right now.
Yeah, consistency, plays every game. He's great for the Steelers.
All right, so that'll wrap up the 2017-2018 Fantasy Football Wide Receivers edition. We're taking a break off Saturday and Sunday. We'll be back Monday with SEC football, and then we've got we'll do a tight ends episode, and then we'll do some training camp stuff, and then we'll get into just a lot of football, and we'll get the college football playoff talked about. So lots of football coming up, maybe a little bit of NBA dispersed, but really sticking to football.
Yeah, with football season coming up, you will see a lot of football content coming from us. If you want to see it all, make sure to hit that subscribe button and make sure to vote in our polls on Twitter. So thank you guys for listening, and we will see you tomorrow.